Pony Fantasy V Exodus of the Void by G.M. Blackjack. Chapter 10 Fire and Water. Welcome one and all to what is perhaps my most impressive invention, Twilight Sparkle beamed. The fire-powered ship is a wondrous piece of machinery that is able to take and store fire-based power to create a vessel that is not only the fastest in the world, but can also sail without any wind or waves. The power is channeled through the two flanking rockets into superheated jets. At full battery, the ship could operate for a year or more. And yet, Applejack said, this wondrous piece of machinery is what's causing us so much grief right now. Ah, yes, right. Well, Twilight smirked sheepishly. I suppose that's why we're here. Turn it off from inside. Once we get to the power room, it shouldn't be that hard. There's a switch I can flip. If that fails, I can always break the engine. Pinky grinned. It's going to be harder than that. How so? Twilight asked. You said it shouldn't be that hard, so obviously it's going to be hard. Like old cheese. What kind of a metaphor is that? Rarity asked. A cheesy one, Pinky responded, giggling. Twilight blinked. You are a strange one. Pinky appeared behind Twilight with a crazy grin on her face. Oh, you're just realizing this now? Cool! Twilight muttered, taking a few steps back. Okay, how about we get in the ship? Good idea, Rainbow Dash responded, flying over to the fire-powered ship. The guards looked at her dubiously until Twilight trotted up and motioned for them to open the door. They complied wordlessly. The five mares walked through the open doors into the interior of the fire-powered ship. The first deck looked exactly like a normal ship's deck, save for the fact that everything was made out of metal, and there were dozens of gauges next to the steering wheel. What in tarnation could all these fancy doohickeys possibly do? Applejack asked. Twilight lit up like a kid in a candy store. I'm glad you asked! And that wall is composed of a polycarbonate alloy that allows for perfect conduction, as well as firepower transport. Make her stop! Rainbow Dash hissed to Pinkie Pie. Why? It's very enlightening, Pinkie Pie responded. Wait, you understand her? Yeah, you don't? Pinky waggled her eyebrows, grinning. Rarity tuned everyone out, simply following Twilight through the inner workings of the ship. She didn't understand anything Twilight was saying either, and frankly didn't want to know the ins and outs of every crevice in this ship. Though, she had to admit, it was helpful to have someone who actually knew where they were going. There were a lot of twists and turns, and random elevators that made no sense to her, but Twilight just knew her way around. Not to mention that the purple unicorn was obviously much more skilled in the magical department than she was. Twilight had teleported at one point, a highly advanced spell that most unicorn mages didn't even know. And she had done it like it was nothing to be proud of. And behind this door we have one of our main power conduits, which we can now follow all the way back to the main core, which... She was interrupted as a strange dust creature flew out of the doorway and crashed right into her. Ah! I can't see! Two can play at that game, Pinky said, clapping her hooves and pointing at the dust creature. I flash and you can't see. Ha! The dust creature seemed to be trying to attack, but it kept running into other things. Huh, Pinky said. You'd think it would be immune to a blind spell. The more you know. I'm still blind, Twilight complained. Oh, sorry dear, got distracted. Rarity quickly fixed Twilight's eyes. There you go, good as new. Thanks, Twilight said, smiling. You know healing spells? I could never get the hang of them. Rarity couldn't help but look smug. Well, the crystals decided to bless me with their power. I recently got some new spells I haven't really had the chance to try out. You're gonna get your chance, Applejack yelled as dozens of other dust creatures began to pour out of the opening. Also, I'm going out of commission for a while. How so? Rarity said. I think I'm calling it going berserk. See ya. At this, Applejack's muscles tensed. She roared, gripping her sword, and charged into the horde of dust creatures like a mad animal. Rarity shrugged. Well then. She lit her horn, trying her new powers on for size. She hit the dust creatures with several strange gray bubbles, which instantly caused them to slow down, which made it much easier for Applejack to dice them into pieces. Applejack mad! She roared, slicing into more as Rarity generated a red bubble that completely stopped time for a single dust creature. It never even got to feel its demise. Rarity smirked, hitting Applejack with a different red bubble that made her twice as fast. I must say, Rarity grinned, these new powers are most helpful when it isn't a giant bird. Pinke clapped her hooves as she swung her hammer around, bashing dust creatures into the ground. This gave Rarity another idea. Hey Pinke, toss me your hammer. Pinke did so without hesitation, moving on to fight with a strange four-pointed curved blade. Face my batleth! Rarity levitated the hammer and studied it closely. Behind her, Twilight shot off a beam of magical energy that disintegrated a few dust creatures, while Rainbow decided it would be prudent to electrocute the horde. One of the dust creatures got a hit off on Twilight, which was quickly healed by a weak healing spell from Rainbow. Rarity said, thinking hard. She focused on her magic, enveloping the hammer in a powerful aura. She bent time around it carefully, and she enchanted it. Here, Pinke, take this. Pinke grabbed the hammer and hit the various dust creatures. They stopped in their tracks as soon as they were hit. Woohoo! This is the literal incarnation of stop! Hammer time! She began bashing more heads in with glee. The crystals have all bestowed you with fascinating power, Twilight commented. I would love to have a closer look later. Applejack pulverized the last dust creature with her bare hooves before calming down. Gotta say, that's an unusual experience. Suddenly, a mechanical device fell from the ceiling and started shooting them with lasers. Whoa, Nelly! Applejack yelled as she took a hit to her back leg. Twilight was the one to save them. She surrounded the machine in her magical aura and fried its circuits in just the right spot to make it go limp without exploding. She frowned. Those drones are supposed to be completely offline when the ship is docked. They'll only activate during sea combat. Unless someone's turned them on from the inside. Everyone blinked. What? Someone doesn't want us to get to the power room, Twilight responded. You were right, Pinke. This is going to be harder than I thought. Queen Celestia looked at the fully charged main power unit for the fire-powered ship. She grinned a twisted grin that looked completely foreign on her face. It hadn't been easy to get the ship to drain power it didn't need, but that hadn't stopped her. No, it had merely been a pleasant brain teaser. She cackled. And with those drones keeping those stupid mares busy, then there'd be no time for them to... A drone came flying from nowhere, hitting Celestia in the back of her head, completely disorienting her rainbow hair. She whirled around in rage, seeing 5 mares who weren't there before. For a brief moment, she was confused. The door hadn't opened, and last she knew they were still a deck above her. And then she remembered. Twilight could teleport multiple ponies as long as she knew exactly where she was going. Celestia smirked. Well done, my little ponies. I should have expected you to make it this far. Twilight blinked. Celestia? What are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm shattering the fire crystal, Celestia cackled. Why? Celestia smirked, looking at Twilight with eyes that were not her own. As smart as you are, you sure are dense. You're not Celestia, Rarity said matter-of-factly. You're the thing that's been causing all the crystals to shatter. Celestia laughed, a truly disturbing sound. Someone give the princess a cookie. She got it right. Whatever you are, you won't be able to stop us, Applejack said. We will turn this machine off, and the fire crystal will be safe. Celestia's playful expression was instantly replaced with one of rage. You'll have to get past me again, and this body is much more suited to combat than that pathetic manticore. She growled. Are you sure you are strong enough to face a queen? And the mares backed away a step or two. They truly were not sure. Alicorns were extremely powerful, and Rarity had seen her own mother's power firsthand. It was something to be reckoned with. Pinke, on the other hand... Pinke trotted right up to Celestia and grinned. Bring it, Missy! I've got a cream pie with your name on it! The cruel smile returned. Oh, Pinke. I'm going to enjoy killing you most of all. A brief look of confusion crossed Pinke's face, but she shook it away. Good luck with that. Come on, girls, let's shut this machine off. Celestia roared, creating a magical barrier around the control panel. Then her eyes lit up with intense fire, her calm mane and tail undergoing a violent change, replaced instantly with intense fire. Her teeth sharpened, and she grew slightly taller. The 5 mares stared, eyes wide. There was no more mistaking this thing for Celestia. You may call me... Nightmare Star. Now die. The heat in the room became unbearable. The 5 mares could feel their hairs start to singe. Shiva! Pinke roared, tossing out the ice spirit. Cool this place down! Shiva grinned. I'll do better than that. She waved her arms around, collecting icy dust in a complicated pattern. Then, she drove the dust as far as she could into Nightmare Star, coating the alicorn in frost. It melted quickly, but the room's temperature was down. Pathetic spirit! Nightmare Star roared. You are nothing compared to my intense fire! The temperature rose again. Shiva strained to continue existing. Not so fast! Pinke grinned, summoning her own power. Tidal wave! Water jets came from nowhere, splashing right into Nightmare Star, and dousing the flames somewhat. I see you learned a few tricks from the water crystal. Interesting, but inadequate. She teleported right on top of Pinke, and drove her fiery hoof into the mare's chest. Pinke yelled out in pain as Nightmare Star prepared another strike, but something distracted her. Applejack angry! Was the distraction. The impact of a large sword in her abdomen just furthered her annoyance. Pathetic whelps! Nightmare Star roared, picking up the berserk Applejack in her telekinesis. The crystals truly do think you are their heroes, foolish beings. Oh yeah? Rainbow Dash said, grinning. Then why are we beating you around like a toy? Her wings turned an unusual green color, and Nightmare Star could feel the poison digging through her veins. Nightmare Star growled, cracking Applejack's back in her telekinesis and launching a blast of fire at Rainbow Dash. Rainbow tried to counteract it with her own fire, but the Queen's power easily overwhelmed her. She was engulfed in flame and tossed to the ground. Rarity healed Applejack and was moving on to Rainbow Dash when Nightmare Star turned to her personally. Your previous enemies may have ignored you, White Mage, but I am not most enemies. Rarity raised a magic shield around herself, blocking most of the fire, but it still got through and singed large portions of her coat. My word, Rarity muttered. That was... Nova, was the only word Nightmare Star said. An explosion went off millimeters from Rarity's face, launching her into a wall and knocking her out cold. The Nightmare Star cackled. This is pathetically easy. Applejack and Shiva attacked simultaneously. Applejack attacking the unicorn at the neck, while Shiva attempted to drive icy spikes into her brain. Applejack channeled her berserk side, lifting the alicorn with her hooves and driving her into the ground. Nightmare Star was not amused by this, and decided that surrounding herself in a tornado of fire was a good idea. This caused Shiva to completely dissipate, and Applejack to be tossed away like a rag doll. Rainbow Dash got back up, attempting to freeze Nightmare Star, only to get a fireball to the face. She grunted through this, healing herself with her own magic, surrounding herself in some weak protective barriers, and charging with all her power. To her credit, Nightmare Star tried to stop the Rainbow Pegasus's charge, but there's only so much a jet of flame can block. The impact hit dead on, and the two ponies tumbled across the floor. Nightmare Star came out on top, holding Rainbow Dash in her telekinesis. That was a good attempt, but sadly pointless. Pinke appeared behind Nightmare Star with a giant sword, prepared to cut the fiery creature's head off. The alicorn didn't even glance at Pinke before kicking her in the pelvis. "I'm not falling for that again, Pinke." "Ow!" Pinke moaned. "Nobody's supposed to expect that." Nightmare Star grinned at the four mares. "You all were the crystal's chosen heroes? I laugh in your faces. I am limited by this body, and you couldn't defeat me." She took a deep breath. Evidently, she was rather taxed. "Pathetic warriors." Suddenly, there was a hole in her skull. Nightmare Star was aware for a brief moment the face of Twilight sparkle, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Celestia." The fiery mane and tail vanished, replaced with the regular rainbow mane. The magical swirling aura quickly dissipated after that, a dead look appearing in the Queen's eyes. Despite the impossibility of doing anything with a hole that large in one's brain, Celestia took one last look at Twilight and said 3 words. "I forgive you." Then the Queen slumped to the ground, lifeless. Twilight walked slowly over to the control panel, shut the power drain off, and then walked back to Celestia. She started bawling. Rainbow Dash walked over to her and put a wing around her, despite the injuries. The two shared a moment of silence. In the background, Rarity came to and started healing everyone, including herself. It took several minutes to repair all the damage, but soon they were all in tip-top shape. "So," Applejack said, "I think we won." "Yeah," Rarity muttered, "some victory." "We should check on the fire crystal," Pinke added. "It may have something to say to us." "You can use that conduit to get there," Twilight said, tearing herself away from Celestia's body. "There's no power flowing through it. It's basically just a big hallway to the crystal room now." Rainbow Dash looked at Twilight, understanding in her eyes. "All right, if you think you're ready." Twilight nodded. "I'm ready." The 5 mares journeyed through the conduit to meet the fire crystal. "So, you idiots actually did it. I'm surprised." "A thank you would have been nice," Rainbow Dash muttered, glaring at the slightly cracked fire crystal. "Aha! No, not doing that." The fire crystal let out a tone that was synonymous with grunting. "I'm alive. You kept your world from falling. We both get something out of this." "Wow," Twilight said, blinking. "I was expecting the fire crystal I had spent so much time with to be wise and understanding, not a complete jerk. And you're a pretentious, arrogant, naive child," the fire crystal responded. Twilight bristled. "Anyway, you'll have to journey to Cadenza now. Earth lives in the Lost City, deep underground." Twilight's jaw dropped. "How are they going to do that? It's impossible to cross the desert of shifting sands." "Not my problem," the fire crystal pointed out. After you completely disable the machine, you should hurry over there. I really don't think you morons could survive without any earth. Rarity gasped. My, you are most uncouth. Yeah, well, I don't care. At that moment, a griffin fell from the ceiling. Madam Pinke, what are you doing here? The fire crystal charged up a fire blast, and the 5 mares readied themselves for a fight. Whoa, whoa, whoa! The griffin held up his hands in surrender. I am not your enemy. I was sent here to protect the crystal just like you, Pinke. I was sent? Pinke said, cocking her head. Sorry, I sorta have amnesia. What? Really? The griffin groaned. That's just great. Applejack blinked. Why isn't he being a crazy savage trying to kill us all? I have no idea. I'm not a fan of griffins either. Do you have any idea how annoying they were when they were more plentiful? Always biting and scratching and murdering. Twilight shrugged. Well, this griffin isn't trying to kill anyone right now, and he's not attacking the fire crystal, so I think we can trust him? Hey, Applejack said, lighting up. Maybe you can tell us who Pinke is. Pinke lit up. That's a great idea! The griffin opened his mouth to respond, but was interrupted as a guard from the castle came down to the control room. Wordlessly, the guard walked over to the control console and flicked the lever to maximum. Then he broke the lever so it could not be adjusted anymore. What? No! The fire crystal let out a roaring tone, engulfing the guard in a fire so hot that the metal of his armor ignited. As he burned, he let out a harrowing laugh. Ah! The fire crystal said. The machine! Suddenly, a mechanical cable attached to the crystal pedestal, cutting the griffin in half as it did so. Twilight yelped, staring in disbelief at the dismembered creature. She quickly recovered, using her magic to remove the machine. Don't waste your power. It's already too late. The crystal's tones were not of screaming, but ones of uncontrolled rage. I have been using all my strength to keep myself together, and that strength is going to burst out violently now. There has to be something we can do, Twilight yelled. Do you not get it? Idiots! In about 5 minutes, I am going to explode, and there won't be a castle anymore. You need to get out. The 5 mares exchanged glances. Twilight nodded, quickly teleporting everyone a few floors up, quickly getting into the throne room with a quick few more jumps. She breathed heavily as they arrived. Twilight ran to the throne itself and pressed a large button. People of Uniforge, the castle is about to explode. Evacuate the city. Do not stop for belongings. You only have a few minutes. Panic erupted. Ponies scrambled for the city walls, mobs began to form, and everything devolved into chaos. Fires were started, several of the power conduits in the city began to explode from being overpowered, and buildings began to fall. Twilight tried to teleport everyone out of the throne room, but she was knocked out by one of the soldiers. This is all your fault, he said, causing the 4 other mares to look at him. He wasn't a pony, or a griffin. He was a minotaur, covered in mithril armor from head to toe. I am Iron Will, and you will pay for what you caused. What? Applejack said. This isn't our fault. You came here and everything went to pieces. He rushed towards them, fists raised. Applejack tried to hit him with her sword, but it bounced right off. Rarity tried to slow his time, but something about the mithril armor blocked the spell. The 2 of them were hit with punches of insane strength, knocking them out instantly. Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash exchanged looks, before Pinkie summoned Shiva, and all 3 of them froze the Minotaur solid. He broke out, roaring, "It'll take more than that to stop my vengeance!" Pinkie hit him in the head with a hammer, Shiva froze him again, and Rainbow Dash flooded him with lightning. I will not be defeated by the likes of you! He punched Shiva into non-existence, and prepared to attack Pinkie when he discovered that she had inserted a knife into his chest. Oh, he muttered, slumping to the ground. fight was over. Rainbow Dash got the other 3 mares back into walking shape. Twilight stared at the Minotaur's body. Iron Will. He was a good soldier. And he tried to kill us when the castle was exploding. Rainbow Dash said, "I'm sorry, but we had to act fast." No, Twilight said. "Let's get out of here." She quickly teleported them, and the few guards still in the throne room with them, outside the castle. A few more jumps got them out of Uniforge, and into the rolling hills surrounding it. At this point she was breathing heavily. She was really overtaxing herself here. Then they heard a voice come through the megaphone system of the city. "This is the Fire Crystal speaking. Yes, I can talk. Don't act so surprised. Keep running from the castle. I'm still going to explode, and there's nothing I can do about it. I am sorry. I could not stop the darkness from taking the fire from you. But I am not going to let them get away with this. Listen to me, my ponies. There is a darkness trying to destroy our very world. Well, we aren't going to go quietly, and we aren't going to let them just waltz around. He is going to pay for what he has done. The wind, the water, the fire, it is all being taken from you. Let us make it clear. This is our world, and those who threaten it will be punished. What is about to happen is a message that we will not go quietly into this dark night." The roar of the fire crystal became so loud that it didn't even need to use the speaker system anymore. A light began to form in the basement of the castle. Energy flickered in and out of existence. And then there was a blinding flash, followed by a deafening boom. Mushroom cloud took the place of the Solomane castle, and the shockwave destroyed much of Uniforge as well. Everyone stared at the carnage with a morbid fascination. Twilight thought she could see a hand of fire reaching out of the explosion and to the sky, shaking in rebellion. Then it was gone. Nothing more than a cloud of ash in the sky. "Hey," Pinkie Pie asked, "what are those shiny things flying right at us?" 3 crystal shards impacted Applejack, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash. The 3 mares were tossed a few feet from the impact, but they received the power. "Man," Rainbow Dash muttered, "that fire crystal sure knows how to bestow his power." Yeah. Rarity smiled sadly. "I must say, I had the fire crystal pegged wrong. He may have been uncouth and tactless, but he did want to protect this world." She looked at the 3 mares who had received the crystal's power. "He still does." They all took a moment of silence. There had been a lot of harrowing death on their journey so far, and only one crystal remained. Arguably the most important of the crystals. A crystal that fueled the very earth beneath their feet. I find myself trying to feel bad about Iron Will getting killed, but, I mean, he really was quite an idiot that brought that on himself really hard. I can't say that I'm sorry he's dead. He might have been technically on the side of the good guys, but he was just... wow, dude. His logic seems very flimsy. Anyway, other things this chapter. Unfortunate that Celestia got possessed and had to be killed. Mind control, such a nasty piece of work, isn't it? That is quite unfortunate. Now, about... oh, the part where Pinkie pulled out her new strange curved blade, her batleth. That is the Klingon weapon that they use for ritual fighting, like duels and whatnot. And I knew that just when I read batleth. I was like, hold on, isn't that one of those Klingon swords? I didn't know which one. They have a few, but wow. I guess watching Star Trek recently has helped me recognize stuff like that. Also, let's see. Rarity mentions that her spells were useful when it wasn't a giant bird, but really, they should have been useful with the giant bird. I mean, haste is one of my favorite spells for fighting zoos. Just use haste, cast it on your heaviest hitter, and then let them beat it into the ground. She could have cast haste on Applejack, or Rainbow Dash, or Pinkie Pie. Any of them could probably have been quite helpful. Rainbow Dash was the one currently fighting it, so why not cast haste on her? That seems like it would have been very helpful. Rarity, you gotta think, gotta use your powers to the best of their ability. That's how you get ahead in this game. Anyway, I'm done complaining about the healer's lack of tactical knowledge. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you again next time. Goodbye, everyone.